Alexa, turn on the lights in the kitchen. Hi, this is Mike, Family DIY TV, and today I want to show you how to install a custom LED light system underneath your upper cabinets, and this is pretty cool, in your toe kicks as well. It's all controlled via Alexa or by your phone. Let's do it. So I want to quickly go over the overall concept of how this works, okay? So it's actually real simple. It's pretty much plug and play. Like I said, no soldering. So it all starts with a 120 outlet. You got to find an outlet somewhere where you're going to plug this whole system in, okay? Then it goes to a power supply, all right? So just think of like a brick. Basically, that's your power supply. Out of your power supply comes the voltage that the controller needs. Now the controller here, this is what enables this to be smart. So you can turn this on and off with Alexa. In my case, I don't even ask it to be turned on or off. I have a motion sensor in the room. So whenever anyone walks into this room, actually all the lights turn on. And then at night when I go to bed, I can say, Alexa, turn off all the lights. Or after 20 minutes, all the lights just turn off by themselves. So it's completely automated. It's real simple. But that's what the controller is there to do. It also controls the voltage to the LEDs. Now to get to the LEDs, the star of the show, I have two leads coming out of my controller into my custom LED light strips. So of course, each one of these had to be custom cut, right? I have ones down there, back here as well. Today we'll be putting those in down there. No soldering, nothing like that. Pretty much anyone can do this. It's real simple. Let's get into it. The supply for my line comes up right in this corner down there. It runs along there, then drops back down into the basement, goes underneath here, pops back up, and comes up here. So if you see here, you can see the line comes down and it powers this strip. And this is the other side of the strip. So what we need to do is we need to actually connect wire to this, pop it down into the basement, and run it across the kitchen and pop up back over here so that we can run our lines over there. This might be a little hard to see. The colors don't really mean anything in this case, but what you see here is I have blue, yellow, green, red, blue, and white in that sequence, okay? And I need to pay attention to the orientation of this clip. You can see this is the bottom, and the white is on this side and the black is on this side. If we look at the LED strip a little closer, we can see there's a 12 volt and a W2, okay? So that's all we need to worry about in this case. We just need to make sure that when we connect the other side, that all of the wires are in the same sequence. So that I have black over here, all my lines in the middle, and then a white on the end. So what I did to make sure that I did that right is I came up with this quick diagram. Black always needs to go to the 12. I really only need to know the outside ones, right? The black always needs to go to 12. And the white always needs to go to the W2. Don't really need to worry about what these are at this point, but we just make sure we always stay in this orientation. So to connect between all the different strips here, so all these little lines, what I'm showing here, is basically this wire here, nothing special. Again, I'll put a link to all this stuff below. What we need to do is split this line with just our fingers. So all I'm doing is grabbing it and splitting. Of course, I ran this up from the basement, so I drilled a hole here so I can run this line, hold it in the right orientation using my diagram. So black, so just making sure they're all in the right orientation. Once you put them in there, you just close the little door here and the connection is made. And you just basically need some pliers and you close it up and you're done. All right, so now we're gonna have to get under here somehow. So we have to get that wire from over there, pop it up somehow through this cabinet, and then have it here so that we can connect our lights, right? So that's what we're kind of going with. Now, there's a couple different ways you could have done this. Ideally, you do this before you install the cabinets. The toe kicks were kind of like after the fact. I didn't realize I was doing the toe kicks until after I installed the cabinets. I just wanted to do the under cabinet lights up top. It would have been easier probably to run this in the back or something like that. But we're kind of doing a retro. But unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to go through the cabinet, through the floor, into the basement, pop up in here, run it down, and then drill another hole and pop up out here. So that's what I'm gonna do. I have a drill bit here. It's not gonna be long enough to go through this, through the floor and into the basement. So I need to use this extension, okay? So this is a lockable extension. Whenever you're going into like a hollow place, you wanna make sure you have like a lockable extension so you don't lose your bit in there. Ask me why. I've lost a lot of bits. So this is a nice lockable. Another thing you want to make sure, whatever drill bit you use, I was going to go smaller, but I need to go at least the size of this so that this fits in there, obviously, when I'm drilling a hole. And in my case, I'm going to drill a hole all the way in the back. All right, so that's my hole. Never going to see that. So now it's going to basement. Let's go find that. I know I have a heating duct right here. Now I'm gonna drill a little hole, like right in this corner here. It's gonna be a little difficult. But what this will allow me to do is fish that wire down and get it up from under here. There's my hole. So for this run, we're gonna have a connector here and a connector there, of course, right? So we have to account for that in our measurement of everything. These are the LEDs. This is kind of the roll that they come in. You can see I'm kind of getting to the end. I think I've used 3 in this entire kitchen. What you need to pay attention to is that you cut it on these copper spaces. So it is pretty customizable, but this, you know, a couple inches here, you know, you can't get to like that exact. You can get, I mean, you're gonna get pretty close, right? So what we need to do is we kind of need to figure out, looking at the spaces. So if I start like, I'll just put it here, right? And I'll run it down. Actually, in my case, I can cut it here and I will have, that'll be my strip. So I will have light, in this case, the entire way, basically from here to here. So I'm getting lucky. So I'm gonna cut this first strip. To cut it, we're just gonna use some cutters, some high quality ones, and we're gonna cut it right in the middle, okay? Because this is gonna be, this next piece, next run will be for the other side. So I'll just go right in the middle, line it up and cut. So one thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pay attention to the polarity of this. We don't wanna flip this because it won't work. It has to be all in a straight line. So this, you know, W2 and the 12 volt need to be on this line and the same thing down there. No big deal, you just need to look at it, make sure it's in the same sequence. And then to hold it, it does have double-sided tape, but we're not just gonna use double-sided tape, we're actually gonna use like a track system. So this is the track system I have. Again, I will put a link to all this down below. But this is the track system. So it's aluminum pieces and it actually comes with the hardware to hold this up underneath. And the LED lights actually fit inside here, okay? And then it has this plastic like diffuser thing, becomes basically a light fixture. Instead of seeing like individual dots on the ground, you see all the LED nice flush. At first, these were pretty annoying to get on. And you can, as you can see, they're still annoying. You kind of get the one side in. You sort of like push on this edge to sort of bow this up and then push it in. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, and then that's how it looks when it's finished. Okay. These are the little clips that hold on the actual track system. Okay. So these get mounted underneath and then snap on. So snaps on like that. Obviously light would be coming out here. So no big deal. We need to mount this under here, but these little pieces of the cabinet we need to cut out. Okay. So you could, if you didn't want to cut these out, you could just mount these like that. But I don't want to do that. I actually want mine recessed in, all right, further, so there's no chance you're going to see it. Now we're gonna start wiring this, all right? So there's a few things you really need to pay attention to. It's not a big deal. You just wanna make sure you're always putting this in the same orientation. So for example, these clips, all right? So I write up on these. Make sure that whenever you're putting these in, they're always in the same orientation. Like this, not like this, okay? You don't put some this way and some this way. It just keeps everything on the same level, same plane, and everything working. Another thing, you want to pay attention to your wires. So, and the voltage, right? So in my case, the black goes to 12 volts, all right, always. So make sure you, when you put this on, you don't flip this by mistake, okay? So make sure, and it's easy to do because you're working upside down, all right? So in my case, I'm installing it underneath, right? So it's gonna be like this. I need to look at this and go, okay, 12 is on the outside. That means my black line is gonna be on the outside because 12 and black volts always go together, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna start with the connector clip, and one side is for the wires, right? So it's got the little holes for the wires. You can't mess this up. And one side is for the actual ribbon or for the LEDs. So with this being up, you kind of push it in, right? And you close it. And when you close it, it basically punctures the wires and makes the connection. So now we have our custom ribbon. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut our wire. So I pulled it, I have extra in the basement. I'm pulling it out a little bit so I have some room to work, and I'm cutting it straight. So remember, black goes to 12 volts. So when we're looking at this, we can go black as far down as they can go. Oh, you can see as I made the connection, these turned on and make our connection. So there's our connection. These are now on. All right, so we can put these over here just to make sure it works. Now what we need to do is we need to mount this to the bottom. This is actually a pain in the butt, but nothing is too hard. So these are the little clips that hold this up to the bottom of the cabinet. They're little tiny screws that comes with it. Again, I'll put a link to all this down below. Basically, all you need to do is you put the screw in and screw it up to the bottom of the cabinet, right up here. I don't attach these screws super tight because it is really difficult to get in there. Meaning I leave these loose, like to spin under there, just so that I have a little bit of play when I'm pushing this up. And these things are super light. This is like aluminum, so you don't, I'm gonna use 3 for this run here. And I'm gonna use this like 90-degree angle here. You could glue this up if you really didn't have any other option. Getting these mounts in is pretty frustrating underneath. Miss Family DIY TV is trying it. This is the piece I was talking about. If you don't have a 90-degree drill, you can try it with one of these. This is a DeWalt. All right, so now before we install our LEDs on the bottom, we need to start thinking about the next series of LED lights, which are gonna be installed under here. So we need to run a wire from here to the end of this strip here. All right, so to do that, we drilled a hole right here on the inside, just like we did over there. This will enable our wire to come down here, right? So we can connect to the other side of the LEDs. Then what I'm gonna do is, like I did on that one, drill a hole in the back so that we can get back down to the basement, run underneath this range, and pop back up. I need to put like that shoe molding in here. Okay, so now with this strip done, we need to run a line to this strip over here, all right? So we're gonna continue off this edge, or this end of LEDs, drilled a hole, ran a line. Going down underneath into the basement, we're gonna pop back up. Now, in this case, it would make more sense, the most sense, right, to come up into here. But this is where we keep all of our cutting boards and stuff like that, and I can't have wires in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run it all the way down, I'm gonna pop up here, and then run my LEDs this way, okay? I'm gonna drill a hole like I did for all the other ones, but let me show you something I ran into. So it's always important whenever you're doing these jobs not to make the job bigger than it has to be. So you can see where all of my, where my previous holes were, where the wires popped out. Okay, so I got one there. I come down before I drill the hole and I wanna check and I wanna make sure, hey, I'm not gonna drill through anything that's crazy, right? I'm looking for maybe plumbing or, HVAC's not a big deal, electrical, whatever. Look at that. That wouldn't be good. Won't wanna put a drill bit through that. Now, I went outside and I measured some things. I think I'm actually in this bay right here because of the way the house is, all right? And just to prove where I'm at, I'm gonna come in a bunch. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do just to make sure that I don't drill through anything. Let's do this together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna grab a drill bit like this. This is super thin, like installers, I don't know if it's called installers bit or whatever, but it's just something I have whenever I'm doing any electrical or anything like that. And I'm gonna drill a very small pilot hole. You're never gonna know it's in here. And I'm gonna come up, right? So normally I'm drilling the hole back here. I'm gonna drill it like right here in the middle. And I'm gonna see where I am in the basement and make sure that if I drill further back, I'm not gonna drill through wires. So let's do that. Wood. All right, now that's in the basement. Yeah, and see, there's the bit. So I don't have anything in there I need to worry about. There's nothing I'm gonna drill into. I'm way far away from those wires, so I'm good to go to drill that hole. All right, so at this point, you've seen how the bottom part. You saw me run the lines, you saw connections between different LED sections, and you can see you just keep adding sections, customized sections, as many as you need, okay? So now what I wanna do is I wanna show you basically the top side. All right, so the first thing we gotta do is we gotta get 120 volts to the power supply, okay? So that's this plug here, all right? The power supply that I'm gonna put in the link down below does not come with an actual plug. So I'll put the plug in there as well. Plug this into a normal household outlet and you wire it up like so. You can see the ground and then the white wire and the black wire. So that's how that gets wired up, okay? Out of this power supply. So you can see this is the power supply up here. You then power your controller. So this is the controller here, all right? Now this is like the brains of the operation. So out of the power supply, you have white and black wire, okay? You run that out, and then you run the power into the controller. And then out of the controller is all of these ribbon lines, okay? So like you saw, this right here, these coming out is these two lines here. So one for the cabinets, the top cabinets, and one for the lower cabinets, okay? So these wires here are these wires here. This is usually tucked away in some kind of closet. The tough part will be basically to tuck it somewhere where you can get 120 volts, you know? But it's really not a big deal. Again, it's real simple. If you just watch it back, you can wire this up in no time, okay? So I have about 35 feet of LED and about 100 feet of wire. So you have to consider all the wire, all the LEDs when you pick your power supply. So that's why I have the biggest power supply that I have. If you're gonna have less than that, so let's say half of that, you definitely don't need that size power supply. So I will put a link down below to a smaller power supply that will work for you. But what I would suggest, try to buy a power supply, one of the two that I showed you, grab all the wire, all the LEDs that you're gonna use, and just hook them all up. When you buy the LEDs, they actually have, you know, you cut it off when you make the custom pieces, but they have this, you know, pin on it, and you can actually connect it to the power supply pretty quick, or the controller, and just test it out. Make sure that your power supply is gonna have enough power. But in my case, like I said, I have 35 feet and about 100 feet of wire. That's why I need the size power supply that I'm gonna put down below. So there'll be two power supplies. The controller, you only need that one controller. I love it. You don't need any extra hubs or anything like that. And speaking of that, let's get into the smart features of this LED setup. So to enable the smart features of these cabinet lights, basically you need to install the Smart Life app, okay? Smart Life app. You're gonna click the add button, and you're gonna add the controller, okay? The controller to this app. Once you do that, you have something like this. So you can see cabinet lights here. And I can control everything right from my phone. So I can change the color, like so, change this to red, pink, whatever, and we can mess with all of it. Change the white, tone back and forth. Once you have that, then you can actually pull them into your Alexa app. Once it's in your Alexa app, the nice thing is you can use Alexa to turn off the cabinet lights. So for example, I can do, Alexa, turn off the cabinet lights. Alexa, turn on the cabinet lights. All right. I can also make them change color. I can say, Alexa, make the cabinet lights green. I can also dim them, but what we could do is take it one step further. So now that it's in the Alexa app, now I can leverage the routines that Alexa has to basically make these things turn on and off all by themselves. Okay, so I have a routine here that whenever the motion detector that I have set up over there sees motion, it turns on the kitchen. It actually turns on the cabinet lights, and it also turns on all the ceiling lights as well, okay? Then I have another one that when it doesn't detect motion, after 30 minutes, it actually turns everything off. So this is good and bad. You know, sometimes we're in another room and all of a sudden all the lights go on here and we have to turn them back on, but no problem, we just say, Alexa, turn on all the kitchen lights. That's the way I have it set up. That's why the controller that I have down below is so nice with this system, and it's fully customizable. So you can do all kinds of things and let your routines, or let your imagination run wild with routines. You can do all kinds of things in there. All right, so that is the end of the video. I hope this was helpful. I will do a little bit more of a write-up on my website. Go there, www.familydiytv.com. I'll have some basically how-to guides, maybe some more pictures of things. I'll definitely include my little diagram that I put together for everyone. Again, very simple. All you need is a power supply, controller, and these LED strips with some wiring. I'll put a link to everything down below so you can pick it up. With that, I'm Mike, Family DIY TV, and I'm red or pink or out. And also, if you're into this kind of DIY stuff, I would really ask you to subscribe to the channel. This kitchen was completely done by me and my wife. Completely DIY. There actually used to be a wall here. We ripped it all down, installed all of this. So this is all brand new, all documented on the channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Please give me a like. I'm Mike, that rhymes with like. Remember, at Family DIY TV, we're always learning. You can do this and it moves and dances along with your voice. My wife loves this, right, Eric?
No.